The top stories tonight in Y News. The government's vaccine expert panel has recommended administering a fourth dose of the vaccine or second booster shot to senior citizens and people with comorbidities.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, ICE, integrating the national ID system with the Department of Health's vaccine registry.
The outstanding debt of the Philippines breached the 12 trillion peso mark for the first time in January.
President Vladimir Putin has insisted Russia's military advance in Ukraine is going to plan as Kyiv and Moscow agreed to create humanitarian corridors for civilians to escape the Russian invasion.
Philippines and the world today is March 4, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am Kat Numaraos.
First in the news, the government's vaccine expert panel has recommended that a second booster shot be given to the elderly and immunocompromised. However, doctors prefer to ramp up the vaccination to the general public. Aiko Miguel explains why.
Health spokesperson Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergeres said that there are recent studies that fourth dose is needed for the immunocompromised individuals. In a text message, Vaccine Expert Panel Chairperson and Technical Working Group for COVID-19 Vaccines, Department of Science and Technology, Dr. Nina Gloriani said they have submitted their recommendation on the administration of second booster for the special population. Dr. Gloriani also said all experts group or AEG has still to meet and decide about the issue. Private Hospitals Association of the Philippines Incorporated or PHAPI President Dr. Jose Rene de Grano agrees that additional booster dose should be given first to some sectors.
Ang nire-recommend nila right now, yung meron lang immunocompromised at saka with comorbidities ang bigyan ng fourth dose. Now, if eventually we'll find out na let's say, tumataas again ng cases among the healthcare workers, then ay most probably i-recommend nila na magkaroon ng additional dose sa ating healthcare workers.
Philippine College of Physicians President Dr. Maricar Limpin also said administration of third dose or first booster dose should still be ramped up. Also, Dr. Limpin is still waiting for the publication of further studies on the administration of second booster shot.
We need to make sure na ang general population, the majority of the population, the Filipinos, makuha nila yung kanilang kailanganin na bakuna. So which will mean the primary vaccine, so dalawang bakuna yon plus the booster shots. Yung pang-apat, siguro tignan muna natin mabuti yung data. Ako, yun personally, no, that's my personal recommendation.
Health experts remind the public to get their booster shot as added protection amid a huge possibility that new and more transmissible COVID-19 variants emerge in the future. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Information and Communications Technology, ICE, integrating the national ID system with registry for any vaccination under the Department of Health. This is while the COVID-19 vaccination certificate is also being unified with other immunization indicated in the yellow card. Asher Kadapan Jr. explains why.
Full integration of the national ID system with any immunization by the Department of Health, including COVID-19 vaccination, will provide seamless user experience, particularly in traveling from one country to another. The Department of Information and Communications Technology aims this as it eyes integrating the two essential information in a single document or ID. In an interview with Get It Straight with Danielle Razon, DICT Secretary Emmanuel Caintic explains that they plan to integrate a link in the national ID to provide access to the individual's immunization details through the DOH's system.
Ang mangyayari pong linkage, Kuya Daniel, Ang ID is katibayan na you are who you say you are. Ikaw si Daniel Razon. Ang mangyayari pong linkage is ang ating national ID ito ang nagsisiguradong ikaw ang taong nasa harapan ng nagtatransact, tapos nakalink lang po siya. Pero i-maintain pa rin po dapat ng DOH ang datos kung ano ang natanggap na bakuna at medikasyon ng isang tao. So, link siya, Kuya Daniel, pero hindi po natin pwedeng ibigay na isang system lang lahat yon.
The DICT is also transitioning to utilizing a unified immunization registry. This will integrate the VaxCert PH and the yellow card in international travels. With this, travelers will only need to acquire and provide one document providing their vaccination against COVID-19 and other diseases.
This VIMS or Vaccine Information Management System, kasama na ang vaccine certification, ay kaya pong gamitin ng DOH para sa iba't iba ng mga programang pagbabakuna. Lalong-lalo na yung kanilang children's vaccination. Di ba, Kuya Daniel, pag may anak ka, papabakunahan mo, dito na rin po nila ipapasok lahat. So tama po kayo, Kuya Daniel. Magiging isa na lang ang ating immunization registry.
Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippine Medical Association offers help from their members to conduct vaccination drives in private clinics during the 4th National Vaccination Drive. JP Nunez will give us the details live. Yes, JP, good evening. Go ahead.
William, good evening. Dr. Ted Herbosa, advisor of the National Task Force Against COVID-19, disclosed that they are now in talks with the Philippine Medical Association to provide more vaccination sites in the coming 4th National Vaccination Days. This plan was after the success of conducting vaccination drive in private clinics dubbed as Res Bakuna sa Butika.
Yun nga yung sinasabi ko kaninang yung Philippine Medical Association, ina-offer nila yung kanilang 80,000 members para tumulong sa national government para magbigay ng bakuna sa kanilang mga pasyente. So, kailangan lang namin, pinag-uusapan namin ngayon yung coordination para ma-distribute by chapter at saka by region yung mga bakuna na pwedeng ibigay sa kanilang private clinic.
Other plans include conducting house-to-house vaccination. The 4th National Vaccination Days is expected to be conducted on March 10 and 11. This aims to increase booster vaccination in the country and immunize those who are still not vaccinated. Meanwhile, local government units in Metro Manila already execute their own efforts to ramp up booster vaccination among its residents. In San Juan City, drive-through and satellite vaccination sites were opened today to give more access of COVID-19 vaccines among its residents. Unlike before, San Juan allows vaccinating those without prior registration.
Basta sila po ay beyond 3 months na mula ng kanilang second dose, ang kailangan lang gawin ay pumila po rito at ipakita ang kanilang vaccination card. Kapag makita po ng aming City Health staff na lagpas 3 buwan na mula ng kanilang second dose, ay agad-agad po silang ibo-booster shot.
San Juan LGU expects that through this effort, they may increase the number of their residents inoculated with booster shot. Mayor Francis Zamora explains that among those fully vaccinated in San Juan City, only 64% came back to vaccination site to get booster shot. In Las Piñas City, they have adopted a Bayanihan Bakunahan program where vaccination sites were placed among barangay areas. The program aims to maximize all efforts to give more access to COVID-19 vaccines to ramp up booster vaccination drive. That is our latest live. Back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, JP Nunez, reporting live from Quezon City.
The Philippines recorded 853 new cases of novel coronavirus disease or COVID-19, pushing the nationwide case count to 3,665,747. This was also the lowest tally of new cases in a single day since the start of year 2022. Recoveries rose by 1,062. 3,558,747. However, the death toll also increased to 56,770 after 232 more patients were confirmed to have died because of COVID-19. The total recoveries and deaths left the number of active cases nationwide to 50,230, or only 1.4% of the overall case count. The big chunk of the active cases, or 45,300, have mild symptoms, while 2,773 are moderate, 1,411 are severe, 450 have no symptoms, and 296 are in critical state. 2 laboratories did not submit their data on time, the DOH said. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has topped 442,206,583, while the deaths have surged to 5,982,578, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. is the worst-hit country with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 79,196,394 and 956,262 respectively. In terms of infections, India follows with 42,951,556 cases and 514,589 deaths. In terms of deaths, Brazil comes second with 650,876 fatalities.
The national government incurred more loans in January, bringing its debt above the 12 trillion peso mark for the first time. The Bureau of Treasury reported that the government's outstanding debt stood at 12.03 trillion as of January 2022, up 16.5% or 1.7 trillion compared with 10.327 trillion in the same month last year. Finance Secretary Carlos G. Dominguez III acknowledged the more than 2-year COVID-19 pandemic and its severe economic downturn resulted in a significant increase in government debt. President Duterte's economic team has already formulated a program to limit the budget deficit and improve the debt to GDP ratio. Dominguez said this part of the fiscal consolidation plan that they will turn over to the next administration.
Amid the rising oil prices, the Department of Agriculture is drafting the guidelines for its 500 million peso fuel subsidy program. The distribution is set to begin this month. Eileen Cerudo reports.
Crude oil in Dubai now costs $80 per barrel. This is the threshold set by the national government before approving the release of the budget for fuel subsidy. Department of Agriculture Secretary William Dar said President Rodrigo Duterte approved the distribution of the fuel subsidy program set this month. This is to alleviate the effects of high oil prices amid the limited supply in the world market and the current tension between Ukraine and Russia.
Mayroon na rin kaming ibibigay itong Marso, yung fuel subsidy para yung epekto ng petroleum prices na tumataas ay maibsan konti. 500 million is now ready to be given this March.
The Agriculture Department allotted 500 million pesos for the said program intended for corn farmers and fisher folks. Secretary Dar added that the Department of Agriculture and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources are preparing the list of beneficiaries for the program.
Mayroon na tayong data po blast sa RCSA o Farmers Registry. Yung sa fishery naman ay may registry for fisher folk. So yun po ang mga gagamitin natin. At nakahanda na po tayo 250 million each for corn farmers and the fisher folk.
The DA is still reviewing the amount to be distributed to beneficiaries under the fuel subsidy program. Aside from the fuel subsidy, the department also provides other assistance such as distribution of fertilizers and seedlings to farmers. Secretary Dar explains it is vital to boost the capacity of our farmers and fishermen to increase local produce. This can help prevent over-reliance on importation of food supply. He also encourages common households to plant in their backyards to prepare in case oil prices and commodities continue to increase.
Every Filipino during this global crisis na ito, hindi lang Pilipinas, ay magtanim at mag-alaga po tayo para ang itong acronym na FAID, there must always be food, always in the home.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Department of Trade and Industry clarifies that the price of basic commodities in the Philippines is not yet affected by the occurring conflict between Ukraine and Russia. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
It may take 3 months before the Philippines may feel the impact of the ongoing Ukraine-Russia crisis in the prices of basic commodities. Although some manufacturers have requested for a price increase from the Department of Trade and Industry, Undersecretary Ruth Castello clarified that this was due to the increasing price of raw materials and not related to the oil price hike.
Wala pa kaming nare-receive on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ang reasons for requests nila na pending sa atin, pag-increase ng presyo ng raw materials at labor, at distribution cost. Pero itong mga requests na to happened in January and February. Wala pa after the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Castello added they are vigorously working on ensuring continuous production and sufficient supply of basic goods.
Yung retailers din, meron silang mga sariling stock inventory na hindi pa rin naman nauubos. So, kung sakaling mag-i-impact ang presyo, ang Russia-Ukraine conflict sa presyo natin, siguro in the next 2 months pa or maybe 3 months hopefully. Ipupush natin hanggang 3 months na mapigilan kung anumang increase yan dahil dun sa conflict.
The DTI assures the public that they continuously monitor the food prices to protect the rights of consumers. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A group of Ilocanos have called on the Commission on Elections to immediately resolve the remaining disqualification plea lodged against presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. Meanwhile, the poll body clarified that a TRO issued by a local court in Baguio against the COMELEC campaign rules cannot be implemented nationwide. Dante Amento tells us why.
Petitioners sa Landanan et al. Seek the immediate resolution over their disqualification case against presidential candidate Ferdinand Marcos Jr. This is the last case against Marcos that has not been resolved by the COMELEC almost 2 months after the preliminary conference. Attorney Ray Paulo Santiago, counsel for petitioners, filed this morning an urgent motion to resolve the case before the second division. The petitioners argued the preliminary conference was concluded last January 14 and they have submitted their memorandum on January 17.
At least magkaroon ng isang closure dito sa division man lang level, 'di ba? Kasi gaya na nasabi mo, yung mga ibang na file na may resolution na dun sa first division. No? So ito nakabinbin pa, sana ay ma-resolve na rin, no? So either way, manalo matalo, at least magkaroon na resolution para alam namin kung ano ang mga next steps rin namin.
Attorney Santiago added if the division would not grant the petition, their last resort would be at the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, COMELEC Acting Chairman Socorro Inting clarified that a temporary restraining order issued by a local court in Baguio City cannot be imposed nationwide, but it is only for the Cordillera Autonomous Region. The TRO temporarily halted the implementation of COMELEC Resolution 10732 on in-person campaigning, particularly securing a permit before conducting a campaign event. Inting clarified the local court in Baguio has no jurisdiction over them.
Not actually implement, but not to fully implement. They have not acquired jurisdiction over us.
Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
President Rodrigo Duterte will be seen in public to vouch for the PDP Laban Party candidates in the national and local elections. However, the president has yet to announce who among the presidential candidates will get his support. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte will join the election campaign starting March 25. In a statement, PDP Laban President Alfonso Cusi said the president will be proactive in promoting their 6,592 national and local candidates as a show of support. And once elected, their candidates will continue the advocacies of the outgoing president. This came days after President Duterte himself admitted that he is not yet endorsing any presidential candidate. The president is supporting the Cusi wing, whose initial presidential candidate was Senator Christopher Bongo. However, Go withdrew his presidential bid, leaving the Cusi group without a standard bearer. Senator Manny Pacquiao from the other wing, meanwhile, is vying for the presidential seat. The Duterte-backed PDP Laban wing has adopted the president's daughter, Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio, as its vice presidential candidate. Duterte Carpio is running under the Lakas CMD party, with presidential candidate Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos as her running mate. Earlier, Cusi said that their party has yet to pick a presidential candidate that will continue the reforms made by the Duterte administration. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Amidst the second round of ceasefire talks between Russia and Ukraine, Russia intends to continue the invasion. Nerissa Dando details why live. Yes, Nerissa?
Good evening, Kath. Russian President Vladimir Putin is determined to reach the goals of military intervention in Ukraine, describing his troops as heroes fighting against new Nazis. According to President Putin, the operation is proceeding according to plan. This is the amid second-round ceasefire talks between the two countries. According to Ukraine presidential advisor Mikhailo Podolyak, the talks has not yielded the results they are hoping for, but they have discussed humanitarian corridor. Moreover, according to French President Emmanuel Macron, he spoke to Russian President Putin, who refuses to stop his attacks on Ukraine. However, the French president is determined to put an end to this war alongside Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Recently, President Zelensky released an urgent message about the risk of a nuclear radiation catastrophe that may threaten the entire continent due to Russian artillery fire at the nuclear power plant. President Zelensky also called on President Putin to be involved in peace talks as he is willing to have an open conversation to discuss peace. Beth?
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, for that live report.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word giving glory to God from the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 24. It says, "Pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and health to the bones."
And those are the reasons behind the news March 4, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Kat Maraos reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.